Welcome to the Fit Dad Nation podcast, forging strong fathers and raising a stronger generation. It's time to get up or shut up with your host, Steve Roy.
Hey guys, this is Steve here, host of the Fit Dad Nation podcast. Welcome to the show. Thank you for listening. Happy New Year to you. Let's hope that 2021 is a much better year than 2020. I don't have to tell you how badly 2020 has sucked. Some of us have risen to the occasion. I know there are a lot of people that ended up thriving during 2020. They really stepped up. I also know a lot of people, probably a lot more people, that really struggled with a lot of things, including, losing their job, having serious health issues, being out of work because of it. It was just one big clusterfuck, really. So, all we can do is move on, do the best we can, and let's just do our very best to make this year better. And I'm speaking from experience. I didn't have a stellar year by any means. My year was pretty rough for a couple of reasons. So my plan is to really get out after 21 and crush it. So given the fact that it's a new year, a lot of guys are looking to start or restart a fitness program, get healthy, get fit, lose their fat body, change their life. All that comes with a brand new year. And so I think that, I've been doing this for a long time, and I really think that it's a very overwhelming thing for a lot of guys, especially if you haven't exercised, you haven't done much or anything in years. And a lot of guys in the Fit Dad Nation that listen to the show, that follow what we do, they're not fit, and they haven't been fit maybe ever, or at least for a very long time. And so, it's a very daunting task to think about, oh man, how am I going to spend this year? What am I going to do differently that's going to change my life? Because the last 20 years, I've been doing the same stuff and it's just not working. So I'm going to share a story with you in hopes that you can relate to this. And so when I started this business, when I started the Fit Dad Nation, I was working a job in finance. I was a financial advisor for a couple of different large brokerage firms over 11 and a half years, actually 4 different firms. On paper, great job, benefits, money, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I hated what I was doing. And when I say that I hated it, I'm not exaggerating, not being dramatic. I truly despised the work, what it stood for, the people in the business for the most part, the nature of the business. I just really disliked it. But at the time, I was married. I had 2 small children. My now ex-wife didn't work. She stayed with the kids. So it was on me to provide income. So I did what pretty much everybody else would do, is you stick around and you grind it out. And that's what I did for over a decade. And so after my separation at the end of 2012, we split up right before Christmas. I spent, I think it was about 9 months, still working my job, trying to figure out life, living in an apartment, trying to figure out how to deal with being away from my girls during the week and only having them on the weekends. And it was awful. And I've shared this story before many times. I was a wreck. I was miserable. And so to make matters worse, being away from the kids, also was still at the job I disliked. So I really didn't have a lot of things that I was looking forward to, but I knew that what we had done, the split, was the right decision. In the fall of 2013, I decided that I couldn't stay in that business any longer. So I ended up, just through a lucky turn of events, I found a gym. It was actually a small, functional training center. It wasn't like a big box gym. It was a small, really cool gym. It looked like it was going to be an awesome fit for me. And so I was offered a job running as a fitness manager, running the whole gym. And I took it. I took a pay cut, pretty big one. But I figured out that if I hustled my ass off early mornings, training boot camps, teaching clients, and then, working my regular, they ended up to be about 9 or 10 hour shifts, that I could make a living. I could pay my child support and the alimony, make enough money to live, barely, but I knew that it was something that I really, really wanted to do, and I just couldn't fathom working any longer in that business. So I made the plunge, and yeah, it was a hustle. It was a struggle. I won't lie. And actually, I loved the job. I was busting my ass. I lost a bunch of weight because I just was working so much. I wasn't finding the time to eat enough food. So I'd lost like 25 pounds. And I mean, it was okay. But at the end of the day, the owner and I just didn't see eye to eye. We just couldn't get along. And so I ended up leaving about 5 months after I started. And that's when I decided to go all in on online business. And I said, it's time to make this happen. So I started what is now the Fit Dad Nation, but what I started was Single Dad, Fit Dad. So, I'm just being a new single dad. I knew the struggles financially, emotionally, mentally, physically, all that stuff that comes with when you first become a single dad. Life gets hard, and for me, the way I handled it was, I fell into a pretty dark time. I kind of drowned my sorrows in food and energy drinks and sugar and fast food, and yeah, I felt like a piece of crap, and I did that for a while, but I ended up recommitting to my health during this period, and literally changed my entire life because of it. Like, I was just going down this really crappy path. I felt like shit all the time. I was tired. I mean, when I had the girls, I was tired. I just wasn't being super active or engaged with them, and it wasn't fair to them. They were little kids. They were like 7 and 4 at the time, and they needed, a high energy dad to want to do stuff with them. And I wasn't there. And you might say, well, it's part of the healing process, but that's just an excuse in my opinion. I just wasn't being the best dad, not even close, that I could be. So, I decided to double down, and I quit all that shit that I was eating, and really cleaned up my lifestyle, got back to the gym, got back after it, just absolutely crushing it. And within, I guess, maybe 6 months, I just felt like a new guy, and my confidence was back. I looked completely different. I felt amazing. I decided that I was going to share this transformation with the world. This is why I started Single Dad, Fit Dad, because I knew there were millions of single dads that were in that position, because I had spent some time online talking to single dads and getting a feel for what it's like out there. And yeah, a lot of guys were just struggling. And so when I started Single Dad, Fit Dad, I went all in on it. I mean, I started investing all my time, all the money I had on ads, building funnels, products, writing blog posts, trying to show up on people's podcasts, just trying to really bring attention to what I was doing. And it worked. We grew the community quickly. Facebook, we had a lot of people following on Facebook and Instagram, and built up a pretty good email list. And on paper, things were going great. The numbers were looking good. Business itself wasn't great. Like, actually making money wasn't great at all. And so I ended up hiring a couple different coaches, marketing guys, ClickFunnels experts, copywriters. I spent a lot of money trying to get this business up and running. And so I remember there was a really defining moment in this business. So I had spent, I want to say, the better part of a year building Single Dad, Fit Dad, just doing everything I could to get on the map with this thing. And I ended up speaking to a good friend of mine. His name's Ian Westerman. He runs a really awesome tennis instruction website called Essential Tennis. And so he had been in the game for a while, and he had actually offered to help me out and get me started. And I flew out to Wisconsin to see him, and stayed with him and his family. And we spent about a week in his office, in his studio. He was teaching me the ins and outs of internet marketing and video production. And yeah, I sucked at it. I sucked at it. I still remember he had this really awesome setup in this office, like it was like this warehouse space, and it's great space for shooting videos. And I'd never shot a video. I was never comfortable in front of the camera. I hadn't done any of that. And so he was, he did the best he could to help me. And, I just remember my first video was just standing there staring blankly at this camera, staring back at me, just mumbling something about fitness, and it was awful. But that's, that's where I started. And so he ended up turning me on to this guy. And this guy's name was Jeff. And he said, Jeff is the man. He is a marketing genius. He's, if you're really looking to take your business to the next level, you want to just ramp up your sales, get things going, talk to Jeff. So I called Jeff. We talked a little bit, and I decided that was the way to go. So I ended up paying him $3,000 for 2 weeks, 2 weeks of his time, which was obviously it's a lot of money. And I didn't have $3,000, so I put it on a credit card. And we talked every day. He sunk his teeth into what I was doing. We went back and forth with shared notes and calendars. He wrote, a bunch of emails for me and copy and changed my sales page and the whole way I was marketing. And so we spent 2 weeks doing this every day. And I'm thinking the whole time, this is it, right? Shit's going to just blow up. I'm going to have just massive amounts of clients and sales. Everything's going to be awesome. So we get through the 2 weeks, right? And this actually, if I remember correctly, this was right around Father's Day when this was happening, and launched this particular program that I had created, and I thought it was going to be a no-brainer. Like every single dad that sees this is going to want to buy it, and I just could see the dollar signs rolling in, and my new lifestyle, and being able to support myself doing this. I was so excited about it, and at the end of 2 weeks, we get everything up, rolling, launched. Boom. Nothing. No sales. Nothing. And I'm thinking, all right, I just spent $3,000. Like, fuck, what am I going to do now? Like, why didn't this work? And we talked about it, and he got back to me, and so we were on the phone, and he said, dude, you don't want to hear this, but everything that we've done in the last 2 weeks, I think you're in the wrong market. I really believe that even though you love what you're doing and you love serving single dads, you're going to go broke doing it. I said, well, what do you mean? Why? He said, well, the guys that you're helping or wanting to help, they have great intentions, right? They need help, and they need help, but they know they need help. But a lot of these guys, a lot of them, especially the ones in your specific audience, they're not financially or mentally ready for change. Like they can't afford, first of all, to hire you, a lot of these guys, and second of all, they're just not in a space mentally to hire you, right? And that hit me really hard, because I had literally sunk everything I had into this. Like everything, I was 100% sure this was my ticket to being a successful online business guy. Like this, I was going to be a fitness coach. This was going to be my niche. I was all set. I was never going to change it. And after we spent all this time deep diving, spending lots of time and money on this, trying all different tactics and strategies and how to get this to work, it didn't work at all. And I had been struggling for many months up to this point too. And so I had a choice. What am I going to do? Am I going to keep pushing forward with this, or am I going to do something else? So, after giving it a lot of thought, and it just literally broke my heart, I said, yeah, I'm going to have to shift gears. I'm going to have to make a change, even though I'm basically going to lose all of the momentum that I had. Everything that I've had up to this point is gone, because if I'm not going to serve these guys, I've got to serve somebody else. So I decided to rebrand. Instead of, I wasn't about to leave online business. I wasn't about to quit and go back and get a job. Hell no. I shifted gears and I said, I'm gonna stick around. I'm gonna continue serving dads, because this is a market that I honestly believe needs incredible help. And at the time, this was back in 2014 when I ended up starting Fit Dad Nation itself. There were no dad sites. There was no such thing as the dad bod. There was literally one guy writing about dad fitness. I remember, I think his name was Fit Dad Chris. I think that was the site or something like that. And he had a fine site, but there were no other resources. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't a niche. And I said, well, this is a market that needs help. And obviously, you guys know, today, there are dad sites everywhere. everywhere. The dad bod is huge. There are a million guys that are quote unquote dad experts, dad fitness expert, a million of them. Actually, believe it or not, it was funny. I got a message the other day. Somebody tagged me in a post on Facebook that about a recent article that was written about the 40 best dad podcasts for 2021. And I never heard of it. They ranked me number 2, which was kind of cool, but I don't know who wrote it. But it just tells you how many resources are out there for dads. It's a huge thing. But back then in 2014, there weren't any. But I said, I'm going to do it. And that's when I rebranded. I basically lost all the momentum. Most of the guys that were part of my community were like, what the hell? You were the single dad guy. And now you're talking about, married dads and like, what's up with that? And so, it was a struggle. I lost a lot of, subscribers, and a lot of followers disappeared, and I basically started over, and I haven't looked back. But yeah, it's been especially the first couple years restarting, I had lost everything, and so I was fired up, but at the same time I was disheartened because of all the energy and time I put into it, just literally to restart from scratch. And it was a very slow process building that up from what I had been doing. I didn't have the budget anymore. I had spent, a lot of my money on trying to build Single Dad Fit Dad, so it was a very slow process. And I just stuck with it, though. I mean, here's the thing. Like, that was 2014. I could have quit many times over. I almost did multiple times. My girlfriend actually has talked me out of several, I think 3 jobs, including one job where I actually went on an interview, got a letter, an offer letter. I was going to be the assistant fitness director for a big box gym, and so I'm looking at this piece of paper, and she's looking at it, and she says, "Dude, you cannot take that job." She's like, "You'll be miserable. First of all, second of all, you're gonna lose everything that you've done so far. All these guys that are counting on you, all the things that you've been doing, you're just gonna give up on that?" She said, "You can't do that. You can't do that." And so I didn't take the job. I stuck with it, and yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride up and down. Not only financially, that's the biggest one, but emotionally. I mean, the ride, and maybe this is even a topic for another show, but if you're relying on income from an online business that isn't already set up and rolling, it is a massively crazy roller coaster from an emotional standpoint, because some days you're like, this is the best thing ever, and some days you're like, oh my God, I'm going to go broke. I'm never going to make another dime. You just never know. It comes and goes, and some days you feel like you're doing so much good in the world, and some days you're like, no one gives a shit what I'm saying. Like, nobody cares. And that still happens to this day. I still have those conversations with myself, and this has been, over 5 years now. I've been doing this. Actually 6 years. It's been over 6 years since I've been doing this. And so, yeah, it's crazy. And so, the reason I wanted to share this with you, and I have no intentions of going anywhere. This is what I've chosen to do. I'll still struggle, no doubt, and that's okay with me. As much as a lot of people would like us to believe that online business is easy and it's just a cash cow and just sit back and relax and enjoy some passive income, that can happen, sure. Does it happen to most people? Of course not. In my case, no, it's been a struggle, and it's fortunately something I love to do, so it beats the hell out of going to work for a paycheck, doing something I don't want to do. Absolutely, 100%. And the reason I wanted to share all of this with you is I'm trying to relate what I just told you with my business. I want you to think about that when it comes to your fitness, because you may be starting from square one, like I started from square one with Single Dad Fit Dad, or I had to restart from square one with Fit Dad Nation. After that, we decided to shut that down. And you're like, oh my God, it's so overwhelming. I don't know how I'm ever going to get there. There's just so much to do, so many variables, so overwhelming, right? And those are the conversations that I had going into online business. It's a massive undertaking, right? There's so many things to know, and I just committed to learning. I bought a WordPress for Dummies book, and I learned. like you, start at square one. You really have to start where you're at and work from there. Like, people look at me and they're like, well, you've got it easy. You're a fitness dude. You've been fit your whole life. And that's just it, right? Like, you can't go back in time and start working out when you're 22 like I did, right? I've been working out for 27 years consistently, which is why it's easy-ish for me to get into shape. Even when I get out of shape, I get back into shape quickly because I've done it many, many times. I've been very, very fit for a long time, and that has been part of my life. So for you can't, reverse time. You can't go back and start. So if you haven't worked out, if you've been sitting on your ass or you've been doing other stuff for the last 20 years, you have to start where you're at, right? You can't worry about, well, I'll never do this or I'll never be able to be this fit. Just like starting the business out for me, you figure out where you're at, what you can do, and you literally just put one foot in front of the other and start moving. And I don't care if you can't do one push-up, right? It doesn't matter. You have to start there and just do your best to better yourself. And that's all I've tried to do, with my business is just try to help as many guys as I can, try to do the right things, try to avoid stupid shit, getting caught up in hype and garbage that's online. And just like you need to avoid hype and garbage and fads, bullshit diets, programs, scams, Simply Fit boards, widgets, BCAAs, supplements that are worthless, right? It's your job to wade through all of that bullshit so you can live a healthier lifestyle, right? And my goal is to help you with that, right? I hate all that shit that's out there. I hate people trying to make a buck off of us, selling stuff that will not help us. It's just not. It's not right in my opinion. And I've had this conversation with people that disagree with me. I just feel very strongly that it's not right when people try to make $1 off of other people and aren't actually doing anything to help them. They're just literally lining their own pockets with garbage, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere in this business, and I feel like it's my job, my duty, to steer you away from that crap because I just hate it. I hate people getting taken advantage of. I don't take advantage of people, and it's not right. So I hope this story has helped. And again, I just, I want you to understand that the struggle for, my struggle isn't with my health. It's always with starting a new life, starting with a new business, quitting something that I was comfortable with, starting something that I loved, and changing my life for the better and creating a better life and future for myself, my family. And that's the same thing for you, right? If you're not healthy, if you're feeling lousy, if you're pre-diabetic, you're diabetic, you're overweight, you feel like shit all the time, and you know you need to change, or your health is failing and you don't want to die when you're 60 years old, you have to take your step. Literally just take a step in the right direction. I don't care what it is. Cut your sodas back by one, right? Stop going to McDonald's every day. Small things will add up quickly, I promise. You do one small thing every day to better your health, one better decision every day, just one, little one. Within 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you'll have a whole different outlook on life. You'll have a whole set of new habits. You'll feel better. You look better. You have more confidence. Your life will change. So if you need anything, if you have questions, if you want help, if you want to be part of our community, you can apply to our free private Facebook group, fitdadnation.com/community. And I appreciate you listening, guys. Let's have a great 2021.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, if you want more information, check out the Fit Dad Basecamp group on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by fitdadnation.com. Until next time, keep kicking ass and taking the next step. You can do this, Dad.